Alright, so today I'm going to be tying a Bead Head Prince Nymph. If you watch one of the earlier videos, one of the other degenerate fish hippies was fishing the Lamar River, and this was the fly he was using. Today I'm going to be using size 14 Montana streamer, heavy wired nip streamer hooks with a Cyclops gold bead. As you can see, I've already got the hook and the vise with the bead. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap some lead wire on here. So we're just going to take in here. It's going to easier said than done. Let me do it this way. Here we go. Just go ahead and just wrap this lead wire up here. What this does is it actually helps the fly sink. And this also helps secure the bead up towards the front of the hook. Let me see, I'm going to get a couple more wraps in there. Get it compacted in there. Use my thing. Another wrap or two, it'll be fine. I'm going to take my cutters. I said that, here they are. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Kind of come in here and you can use your fingers to kind of bend that in. Come in here, I'm going to cut this end off right here. Like so. Bend that tag end down a little bit. Alright. I'm going to shove that wire up inside the bead. I'm using olive thread. I've seen this done with white, red, black. I'm using an olive gold thread. I'm using 70 denier. I'm just going to go ahead and start back here, build a little bit of thread up behind the lead wire and just wrap up here on the lead wire, helping to secure the lead in there and build up a little bit of a dam behind the head. Work back to the back of the hook shank here. Stop. We're going to cut that off. Cut this little tag end off right here. Alright. Next thing we're going to do, this is a little tricky for some people, they can be a little tricky to work with, is I'm taking brown goose bite. I've seen it done with turkey too. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little trick, but you can't tell anybody. You can go online to a fly fishing shop and buy this, or I actually found this at a big box craft store for 99 cents. They're not as fancy as some of the ones you get, but they do work, and for 99 cents, I'll take it. So I've gone ahead and I've cut two of the goose biots off. You can see that. I'm going to turn them so that they point out from each other. I'll show you that here in just a second. Get them turned in. They have a natural bend to them. Ooh, my fat little fingers are not wanting to work tonight. Alright, here we go. Get the tips even. And if you can see how I've turned it so they're splayed out like that. They're bent out. Okay? So now comes the trick. I've got to kind of turn my fingers around with this. There we go. Make sure the tips are even. They are. So bring it up to the hook shank. You want these to be about the length of the hook behind the bead back. So you can kind of see there how that works. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to put these down. I'm going to run one real soft loop over, run a second soft loop over, and then this third one I'm going to pull tight. And you can kind of adjust. Oop, there we go. Adjust, guys, adjust. There you go. Come on. I got to kind of turn them. Give me a second, guys. I got to play with these. These things can be a little tricky. I'm going to have to try that one more time. They just didn't quite want to work. So there we go. So again, a soft loop. Another soft loop. And then we're going to kind of get some tighter loops in there. Ooh, I want to stand up on me. Don't want that. There we go. That's pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and bind this down here. Okay. And you can see, here, I'll turn it so you guys can see it. You can kind of see how they've splayed out like that. That's exactly what you want them to do. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to take my scissors. So I'm going to come in here and kind of trim this tag in just a little bit like that. A couple wraps to tie the butts down. Make them good and secure like that. Come back to the base here. At this point, you're going to take some peacock curl. And again, another little trick. I bought this also at a big box craft store for $1.49 for the whole piece of peacock curl. I'm taking 2 strands that I've already cut off. I'm going to go ahead and take them in here, pull them together. Okay, there we go. I'm going to get these ends, cut these ends off even. You can do more. If you're using a bigger hook, you can use 3 or 4. I do find on these smaller hooks sometimes it makes it a little bulky if you use 3 or 4 of them. So we're going to try 2 tonight and see how it looks. So I'm going to come in here, a couple of soft turns, working up, close touching spirals. Here's a little trick. I've seen this done a couple times. If I can find my hackle pliers. Here they are. I'm going to go ahead and take and clip these together. I'll show you a little trick here in just a second. Come in here, we're going to trim these tag ends off. You can break them off if you want. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to cut my thread, so kind of be careful. There we go. Come in here and cut that tag end. Well, come on, behave. There we go. Pull my thread down out of the way a little bit here. Now I'm going to take this peacock curl. If y'all can see it, I'm going to twist it. You don't have to go crazy with it, but if you just give it a few little twists, kind of rope it, then I'm going to wind this peacock curl on. Actually, I did forget one step. Let me go back. I'm going to use a piece of wire. You can use gold, you can use silver. The color adds a little bit of flash, but mainly it's to help hold the peacock curl down because it is kind of brittle, to help give it some strength. I'm going to use red just because I think it's going to look good with it with the red. So we're going to come in here, we're going to untwist this off my thread. If you put your wire at about a 45 on the side of the hook, a little bit like that, a little bit like a 45, and then you can pull it back. If you want, you can actually shove it up underneath the bead. Do like that, and then secure this wire down. I'm going to come back here to the bend of the hook. Okay. I'm going to work now back up with my thread, binding that wire down, and I'm going to come about a bead width behind the bead. So I'm going to stop right about there. All right, so we've got these twisted. You don't want to twist them too much because they will break. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to wrap the peacock curl forward. I find if you twist the peacock curl, it doesn't tend, especially if you're using more than about 2 strands, it doesn't start getting all kinds of crazy and wacky on you. So we're just going to gently wrap this up to about a bead width behind the bead, right about there. That's going to be good. So here we go. So we're going to go ahead and secure this peacock curl down. A couple wraps, secure the peacock curl. There we go. Good. Come in here, I'm going to cut this off. Again, you can break them off if you want. I'm going to counter wrap the wire. 3 or 4 turns should be sufficient. Again, it does add a little bit of flash, but it's mainly to help anchor and secure the peacock curl because it can get a little fragile. There you go, just a couple, 3 wraps. Come up here, make another wrap. I try to be as even with these as possible and try to make it look professional. Again, I will apologize to any of you that did think I was a professional. So come in here with my cutters, cut that piece of wire off. Now the next step, take you some brown hackle. It doesn't really matter. It can be rooster, it can be dry fly hackle. It doesn't really matter. This is not the type of hackle it is. I wouldn't use my really expensive dry fly hackle on this, but if that's all you've got, then roll a fly tie and use what you have. All right, so I've gone ahead and got one off and I've stripped it down. I'm going to come in here, couple of turns. Here we go. There we go, a couple of turns like that. Come in here, I'm going to snip the butt end off. Take my hackle pliers, get the last of that peacock curl out of it. Grab it here real quick. And I'm only going to make about a couple, 3 turns. I really need a lot. Just a couple of 3 turns. There you go. Looks pretty good. So come in here, we're going to secure this. I'm going to pull that back a little bit. There we go. Come on in here. Now I'm going to go ahead. This I'm probably just going to go ahead and break off. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull this this hackle back, make a couple of turns. Some of these fibers get pulled forward. You can actually come in here and you can cut them off or pull them off. That's fine. Make a couple turns up here, secure it. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the white biot. And again, 99 cents at a craft box store. Okay, found it in the floral section over there where they do all the fancy like flower arrangements for weddings and whatnots. I just dropped one, so before I go crawl on the floor out of camera, I'm just going to go ahead and cut another one here real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Now you don't want this to go much beyond the peacock curl. You kind of want it to stay right there. You can do this. This step is not necessary, but I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm just going to come right across the top here and just trim a little bit of this out. Because I'm going to lay these across the top. Now, before people get too critical, I understand this hackle's a little large. Some people will use a smaller hackle when they tie this. I went ahead with the larger one just because that's what I had on hand. Take your goose biot that you've cut, and what you're going to do is you're going to come in there and you're going to lay it at about a 45-degree angle across the bead. You're going to measure it. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm going to kind of measure it right there. I'm going to lay it right there with my finger. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to come right here behind the bead. You can kind of feel where your scissors will fall into place right there where the thread dropped off on the bead. I'm going to make a couple of turns and secure it. Got a couple pieces of hackle forward. I'm going to pull them back a couple turns. Okay, done. Now I'm going to come in here with the second one. I'm going to go 45 on the other side of the fly. So the first one I did facing towards me. This one I'm going to do facing the other way. So I'm going to lay it kind of at an angle, kind of like the opening of a scissor. Again, measure about the same distance back. Lay it down. Okay. Lay it down. Come in here with your scissors till you feel it drop right there and cut that off. That is not an even cut. We'll do that real quick. And again, I'm going to make a couple securing wraps right on. Oh, Lord help us. My thread just broke. So, if you've been flying for any length of time, fly tying for any length of time, you know this happens. So what am I going to do? I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make just a couple of loops around there. Come in here and cut my tag end off, my thread. Don't worry, because we're going to come in here with head cement. We're going to lay all that down. Come in here, I'm going to trim a couple of these little stray fibers off. And you're not going to believe this, folks, friends, and neighbors. Yeah, apologize. One of those, the biot I was tying in when my thread broke actually fell off. So what am I going to do? I'm going to tie in another one. Go ahead and cut it off here real quick. Got one come here. These things can be a little tricky to work with. Give me just a second. I apologize for the delay. We're experiencing technical difficulty. Pause for 10 minutes. 10-second station identification. Okay. All right, we got another one off. There we go. So again, we're going to lay it across just like I did. Measure it. Make sure it's even with the other one. Come in here with my scissors. Trim it. Make sure it's laying there where I want it. Kind of. Yep. Let me go ahead and secure it down. Making several thread wraps around it there. There we go, pull it back. That looks pretty good. Obviously not professional fly tying quality, but that will pass. And real quick here, just to save time, since I've already wasted enough of your folks' time, I'm just going to do a quick 1/2 inch here. You can do, I'd recommend a 3 or 4 turn whip finish if you're going to do a whip finish. Okay, there you go. All right, now be liberal with your head cement. Okay, so we want to secure that thread, but you don't want to get it everywhere. So if you notice, I'm going to put a little bit on the tip of my bodkin, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to coat. You can use Zap-A-Gap, you can use super glue, you can use whatever head cement of your choice. Come in here and I'm going to just coat these thread wraps right here around the bites. It's going to help secure those white biots, and it's going to help keep the thread secure. Come up here, snip our thread, and there we go, folks. See if I can turn it and show it to you. Well, my vise is not wanting to play nice. Come on now. What in the world is going on? There we go. If you look, there you go. There is my beaded Prince Nymph.